I hadn't planned on attending my sister's engagement party. Not because I held any grudge, at least not initially, but because Vanessa and I had drifted into different orbits years ago. She'd married into wealth, divorced with a generous settlement, and now spent her days curating an Instagram-perfect life funded by alimony and our parents' retirement savings. I, on the other hand, had spent the last decade working 80-hour weeks, sleeping in library carols during law school, and clawing my way up from public defender to where I am now. But Mom called. She used that voice, the one that's half plea, half guilt, and said Vanessa specifically wanted me there. That she was turning over a new leaf with this new fiancé, Marcus, and wanted to reconnect as a family. I should have known better. The venue was the Crystal Terrace, a glass-walled event space overlooking the harbor. I arrived in my usual work attire, charcoal blazer, simple black dress, sensible heels. I'd come straight from chambers and hadn't bothered changing. The moment I stepped through the doors, I felt the weight of 100 judgmental stares. Vanessa spotted me immediately. She was draped in champagne silk, her engagement ring catching the light like a disco ball. She swept over with Marcus in tow, tall, handsome, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. "Oh my God, you actually came." Vanessa's voice carried across the room. Several heads turned, and in that, I glanced down at my outfit. I came from work. Right, work. She said it the way you'd say the laundromat or the DMV. She turned to Marcus with an exaggerated stage whisper that everyone could hear. My sister still hasn't figured out that networking is half of career success. She thinks just working hard is enough. She laughed, a tinkling sound that set my teeth on edge. That's why she's still doing... What is it you do again? Free legal aid. Something like that, I said quietly. Marcus extended his hand with a patronizing smile. Marcus Holloway, VP of Development at Holloway Chin Properties. Always great to meet Vanessa's family. His handshake was too firm, held too long, the kind men use when they want to establish dominance. Nice to meet you, I said. Marcus is brilliant, Vanessa gushed. His company just landed the contract for the new waterfront district development. Isn't that right, honey? Closed last month, Marcus confirmed, puffing up slightly. $200 million project. Luxury condos, commercial spaces, the works. How impressive, I said. I meant it neutrally, but Vanessa took it as an opening. See, this is what real success looks like, she said, gesturing around the room. Building something, creating value, not just shuffling papers for people who can't afford real lawyers. A few people nearby chuckled. I felt heat creep up my neck, but I kept my expression neutral. I've sat through thousands of hours of testimony from people trying to intimidate me. My sister's wedding registry cruelty barely registered on that scale. Well, I said calmly, someone has to do it. That's so noble, Vanessa cooed, in a tone that meant the opposite. She linked her arm through Marcus's. Come on, honey. Let's introduce you to people who actually matter. They drifted away. I stood there for a moment, considering leaving. But I promised Mom I'd stay for dinner. So I found a quiet corner, accepted a glass of wine from a passing waiter, and observed. The party was textbook Vanessa. Over-the-top floral arrangements, a 5-tier engagement cake, a live string quartet. Our parents sat at a center table, beaming with pride. Dad kept showing everyone his phone, probably photos of Marcus's portfolio or something equally tedious. I recognized a few faces. Some of Vanessa's college friends, people who'd once treated me like a kid sister and now treated me like I didn't exist. A few of Marcus's business associates, sharp suits, sharper elbows, the kind of men who measured worth in quarterly earnings. Then I noticed someone I actually did recognize, Gerald Chun, standing near the bar with a tumbler of scotch. He was Marcus's business partner, the Chun in Holloway Chin Properties. We'd been in the same study group in law school before he pivoted to real estate development. He'd always been brilliant with contracts, could spot a loophole from a mile away. Our eyes met. His widened slightly in recognition, but I gave a small shake of my head. Not yet. He understood. Gerald was good at reading rooms. Dinner was called. I found myself seated at a table in the back, near the kitchen doors, with some distant cousins I'd met maybe twice. Vanessa and Marcus held court at the head table, regaling their guests with stories of their whirlwind romance, 6 months, apparently, from first date to engagement. And the ring, Vanessa announced, holding her hand up so the chandelier light caught it. Marcus had it custom designed. 4 carats, VS1 clarity. He knows I only accept the best. Applause rippled through the room. Marcus stood, tapping his glass for a toast. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, he began. His voice had that corporate smoothness, the kind honed in boardrooms. Vanessa has brought so much joy into my life. She's beautiful, sophisticated, and she understands what it takes to succeed in this world. She comes from a family that values excellence. Well, mostly. A few people laughed. My cousin next to me shot me a sympathetic look. Marcus continued, her parents have been incredibly welcoming. They understand the importance of building a legacy, of surrounding yourself with winners. That's something Vanessa and I share. We don't settle. We don't make excuses. We make things happen. More applause. I sipped my wine. And soon, Marcus said, his voice rising with enthusiasm, we'll be celebrating our wedding right here at the Crystal Terrace. We've already booked it for next June. This venue is perfect, exclusive, elegant, everything we want for our special day. The crowd murmured approval. Vanessa beamed. Then Marcus made a mistake. He let his gaze drift to the back of the room, landing on me. Not everyone gets it, he said, his smile turning thin. Some people are content with mediocrity. They take the easy path, avoid competition, help the helpless instead of helping themselves. But that's not us. We're builders. We're winners. The subtext was clear. I was the cautionary tale, the family disappointment, the one who'd wasted her potential on do-gooder nonsense, while Vanessa had snagged herself a real success story. I set down my wine glass. My mother noticed. She shot me a pleading look from across the room. Please don't make a scene. I gave her a small smile. I wasn't planning to. The dinner wound down. Dessert was served, individual chocolate torts with gold leaf, because of course. People mingled, congratulated the happy couple, took photos in front of a backdrop plastered with Vanessa and Marcus's initials. I waited. Around 9 o'clock, a woman in a staff uniform approached Marcus. She whispered something in his ear. He frowned, excused himself from conversation, and headed toward the venue's office area. Vanessa was too busy posing for photos to notice. I counted to 60, then followed. The venue manager's office was down a hallway, past the kitchens. The door was ajar. I could hear Marcus's voice, raised and agitated. What do you mean, there's an issue with the booking? Sir, I apologize for the confusion. That was Patricia, the venue manager. I recognized her voice. But we've had a directive from ownership to review all long-term bookings. There seems to be a conflict with your June date. A conflict? I have a signed contract. Yes, sir. And we'll certainly honor it, pending approval. But the ownership group has recently changed, and they're implementing new policies. Changed? I dealt directly with the previous owner 2 months ago. That's correct. But the property was acquired by a trust last month. All contracts now require secondary approval from the new ownership. I stepped into the doorway. Both of them turned. Is there a problem? I asked calmly. Marcus's face flushed. This is a private conversation. Actually, Patricia said, and I could see the relief in her eyes. This is perfect timing. Mr. Holloway, I'd like you to meet Judge Sarah Whitmore. She's the primary trustee of the Whitmore Family Trust, which now owns the Crystal Terrace. The color drained from Marcus's face. Judge, he repeated, the word barely a whisper. That's right, I said. I kept my voice even, professional. I serve on the circuit court. Family and civil litigation, mostly. Though I suspect you'll become more familiar with that in the coming weeks. I don't understand. My grandmother left me a rather substantial inheritance, I explained. Most people don't know I don't advertise it. I've been using it to acquire properties throughout the city, including this venue. The trust closed on the Crystal Terrace 3 weeks ago. Marcus stared at me. I could see his mind racing, recalculating everything he thought he knew. Your booking contract is valid, I continued. Patricia is correct that all contracts require my review, but that's standard practice. What's not standard? I pulled out my phone, pulled up a document, and handed it to Patricia. Is booking a venue you don't actually own for an event you can't actually afford? Patricia scanned the document. Her eyebrows rose. Mr. Holloway, she said carefully, is it true that Holloway-Chin Properties is currently in bankruptcy proceedings? The silence was deafening. That's confidential, Marcus stammered. Not when you file Chapter 11 in public court, I said, which your company did 2 weeks ago. I know because I reviewed the filing yesterday. Turns out that $200 million waterfront development collapsed when your investors pulled out. You're hemorrhaging money. The company's insolvent. Marcus's hand gripped the back of a chair. How did you? I'm a judge, Marcus. Court filings are public record. When I saw your name on the venue contract, I did my due diligence. It's a habit. But Gerald said everything was fine. Gerald Chen filed a separate motion to dissolve the partnership and recover his assets, I said. He's the only one getting out clean. He protected himself. You didn't. Marcus looked like he might be sick. So here's what's going to happen, I continued, my voice never rising above conversational. Your booking contract will be honored, but you'll need to provide proof of funds within 30 days, per the standard deposit terms. If you can't, the contract is void. Additionally, Patricia will be sending you an updated invoice. The previous ownership offered you a discount rate. We don't. You're doing this because of what I said. I'm doing this because it's business, I interrupted. And because I don't extend family favors to people who publicly mock my career while secretly filing for bankruptcy and planning a wedding they can't pay for. I turned to Patricia. Please prepare the updated contract terms and send them to Mr. Holloway by end of business tomorrow. If he has questions, he can reach out to my office. Yes, ma'am. I walked back toward the party. Behind me, I heard Marcus make a phone call, his voice tight with panic. When I returned to the main room, Vanessa was holding court near the cake, still oblivious. I caught Gerald's eye again. This time, he raised his glass slightly, a salute. He'd known, probably seen the bankruptcy filing himself, and realized who I was. Smart man. That's why he was getting out. I found my mother. I need to go, Mom. Early court session tomorrow. She grabbed my hand. Please don't be upset about what Vanessa said. I'm not upset, I said honestly. I'm just tired. She doesn't mean it. She gets nervous around you. That stopped me. Nervous? You're so accomplished, honey. You always have been. Vanessa measures herself against you and feels like she comes up short. That's why she overcompensates. I squeezed her hand. Mom, I love you. But Vanessa is an adult. She makes her choices. I've made mine. I was almost to the door when I heard the commotion. Marcus had returned to the party. Vanessa was pulling him aside, confused. I couldn't hear the exact words, but I saw his face, pale, devastated. Saw him gesture toward me. Saw Vanessa's expression shift from confusion to shock. She turned. Our eyes met across the room. For a moment, I thought she might storm over, make a scene. But she didn't. She just stood there, the truth settling over her like cold water. I gave her a small nod and left. The next morning, I was in my chambers reviewing case files when my clerk knocked. Judge Whitmore, there's a Gerald Chen here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he said it's personal. Send him in. Gerald entered, looking sheepish. I hope I'm not overstepping. Not at all. Have a seat. He did. I wanted to apologize for last night. I should have warned you about Marcus. I knew he was spiraling, but I didn't realize he'd be such a jackass to you specifically. It's not your responsibility to manage his behavior. Maybe not. But for what it's worth, and you probably already know this, the waterfront project was his baby. He overleveraged everything. Wouldn't listen to reason. When it fell apart, he couldn't admit it. Started living like the deal was still on, planning this huge wedding. Buying that ring on credit? Does my sister know? I doubt it. Marcus is good at keeping up appearances, but it's all about to come crashing down. I leaned back in my chair. Did you come here to warn me, or to clear your conscience? He smiled slightly. Both maybe. Also to say, I always knew you'd end up somewhere like this. You were the smartest person in our study group. I'm glad you proved it. After he left, I sat quietly for a while. Then I picked up my phone and sent a text to Vanessa. We should talk. Coffee this week? She replied within minutes. Yes. Please. We met at a quiet cafe downtown, not one of her usual haunts. She looked smaller somehow, less polished. No Instagram glow. Just my sister, wearing jeans and minimal makeup. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I was horrible to you. Yes, you were. She flinched. Marcus told me everything. About the bankruptcy. About the venue. About you. About me being the judge who reviewed his court filing. I didn't know. About any of it. The trust, the properties, your position. Mom and Dad never said. Because I asked them not to. I don't need people knowing my business. I didn't do any of this for recognition. Then why did you do it? I considered the question. Because I wanted to build something that mattered. Grandma's inheritance gave me options. I could have traveled, bought a mansion, done what you're doing. Instead, I invested. In property, in my career. In systems that help people. The trust owns 12 buildings now. Half are affordable housing. The others, like the Crystal Terrace, fund the rest. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I've been so stupid. You've been scared, I corrected. There's a difference. I don't know how to do what you do. I don't know how to be substantial. You start by being honest. with yourself and with the people around you. She wiped her eyes. I broke it off with Marcus. This morning. I'm sorry. Don't be. You were right. It was all fake. The ring's going back. The wedding's canceled. I'm moving back in with mom and dad until I figure things out. She laughed bitterly. 34 years old and starting over. Better than 34 years old and living a lie. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Vanessa asked, "What happened at the venue? Were you punishing me, or were you just doing business?" "Both," I said honestly. I meant what I said to Marcus. It was business. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel good to watch him realize he'd underestimated the wrong person. I underestimated you too. I know. Can I make it right? I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Past the designer clothes and the desperate need for validation. I saw someone lost, someone who'd spent so long chasing other people's definitions of success that she'd forgotten to define her own. You can start by figuring out what you actually want, I said. Not what looks good on social media. Not what impresses people. What actually makes you happy? I don't know if I know anymore. Then that's where you start. 6 months later, Vanessa enrolled in community college to finish the degree she'd abandoned years ago. She got a part-time job at a nonprofit. Nothing glamorous, but something real. We have dinner once a month now. Sometimes she asks for advice. Sometimes we just talk. She'll probably never fully understand why I've made the choices I've made. But she's trying, and that's enough. As for Marcus, the bankruptcy proceeded. Holowachin Properties dissolved. Last I heard, he'd moved to another state, trying to rebuild. I hope he learned something from the experience, but I don't spend much time thinking about it. People ask me sometimes if I regret how things went down at the engagement party. They think I should feel guilty for humiliating my sister's fiancé, for pulling back the curtain on his carefully constructed facade. I don't, because here's what I've learned. Power isn't about making noise. It's not about announcing your credentials or waving your achievements like a flag. Real power is quiet. It's in the work you do when no one's watching. It's in the systems you build, the decisions you make, the integrity you maintain when it would be easier to compromise. People will underestimate you. They'll mock you, dismiss you, write you off as naive or unsuccessful or irrelevant. Let them. While they're busy performing success, you can be busy actually achieving it. And when the moment comes, when they finally realize who you are and what you control, you won't need to say a word. The look on their face will say everything.